Hey, welcome to Forge the Narrative, where we're going to go over our mission pack one mission at a time. We're going to start out with the first one. This is Realm of the Raven God. I'm joined today by Juice.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is video mission review.
Yo, man, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a good idea for us to go over some of this stuff because, well, why not? I mean, we've had this published for a while. We've got it in a nice little form, I think, that has been edited down, taking a lot of feedback from the community, so we might as well put it up with our seasonal coming out soon.
Yeah, exactly. We're about 60 days out. This will be really good for everybody, not only to be able to read the content, but we can also go over some little secret innuendos, maybe, give some insight on the mission design.
Yeah, the neat thing about this is they've been running all over the world at this point, so there are other people other than us just playing with them, which is pretty interesting, and I'm happy to say that. So I guess I just want to kind of start, by going this right here. It's like, this is mission one. This is Realm of the Raven God. The deployment on this is Dawn of War. Mission special rules, night fighting, reserves, and variable game length. Nothing too out of the ordinary. But this is a mission with 3 different objectives. We've got primary, secondary, and tertiary. So, standard kind of battle point stuff going back all the way to 3rd edition.
I've fallen in love. If everybody hasn't tried this, please do. Run all these missions, see what you think. But primary, tertiary, and secondaries are my favorite way to play 40K right now.
What this does, it creates some separation in the pack and also gives people things to fight for when certain objectives become, unattainable throughout the course of the game for whatever reason. Being outplayed by their opponent, some unlucky breaks or whatever. Gives things to do. Keeps you focused on the game the entire time.
Yeah, and there's actually, you build your list around this. It's like, man, I am going to play towards solely primary the whole time, and then at the very last second, I'm going to go for the tertiary, battle points, whatever else. Or I'm going to build a list that is like, I am going to space out all my play, and I'm going to go for all of them every turn.
Yeah, and we're firm believers in publishing the missions of the tournament before it occurs, and so people can tailor their list to the missions and not be surprised by anything in case, like for instance, one of the things here that's not necessarily common we have is the primary objective is progressive objectives. We've titled this Control the Ley Lines. And what this says, the objectives in each table quarter award objective points during the course of the game. A player starting in turn 2 gains 1 objective point per objective marker controlled. The points are scored at the start of the player turn. What do you think about that?
Man, I love it. And I love the caveat in there, that last sentence, like this point is scored at the start of the player's turn. So all of a sudden, that actually puts more emphasis on going second, per se, in an addition where everybody is putting all their nuts in one basket to go first. They need to win that roll. They need to win that roll. But you can deny people for their start of their next turn points by going second. And that's throughout the game.
Yeah, you've got to plan ahead, and you've actually basically had to expose yourself to possible return fire from the enemy, which is not something people are keen on doing when you have a bunch of, small scoring units or weak units that you just had to place to get objectives at the end of the game. Now, you're giving you this objective here or this mission here where you're starting to play through the whole game, not just
through the whole. Yeah, and let me tell you, not even just little weak things that you don't want to die, like this coming from a NID player right here, like the last thing that I want to do is to go first in a mission like this, so where I have to drop my Hive Tyrant down, because that's my forward threat, and now all of a sudden I got to drop it down to get an objective because that's where I need to be at, and now I've got this 240-point model that's about to get hosed because of the fact I had to go to the ground and pick up this objective.
So score that point, right?
Yep, exactly.
It's important to mention here that the objectives are placed are fixed objectives. You don't place these during your player don't get to place them advantageously to them. They are where they are, and that's here, in the table quarters.
Yep, and that is something else that's a huge difference is where, for example, there's a total of 4 objectives, 2 on either side that are on the gun line. You're on that 12-inch line. So where this helps all armies, where if you do want to have a shooting army, you can still stay back some in your deployment zone and do a lot of firepower and still be within that 3-inch mark. So you're really only 9 inches off the board edge. But also this is really cool for assaulting armies. Because it's like, man, I can jump across the board because most assaulting armies have scout. They have some form of 12-inch movement, whether it's in the movement phase or the assault phase. And then all of a sudden, you get to be where all the action is.
So the secondary objective is more of a traditional type objective for Warhammer, at least we've seen the last several years. It is checked at the end of the game. This is, we call it control the center, anchor the warp is the fluff name for it. The objective in the center of the table is worth 8 battle points, and you check control at the end of the game.
Yep. Yeah. Old school throwdown. 4th and 5th edition throwdown. I love it.
The way I see that is that people, if when all is lost, they fought each other to a standstill. It's basically a chess match where people expose themselves and you wipe them out. So nobody's getting any points, or maybe only some person has 1 point or whatever. They're able to get some points here at the end of the game with how they're traditionally built their list for other events.
Yep. And for everybody at home, you all have to have a similar story as to this of like, man, just like Paul said, you have no models left. It's come down to a draw. It's been just a intense 2.5 hours. And then all of a sudden you look across the board and I've got Marinius Calgar versus Asdrubal Vec. So looking at each other 2 inches away from this objective. Like, I guess we're going to throw down for this last one.
There you go.
So...
tertiary objective is kill points. At the end of the game, the players will total the amount of kill points given during the game. The difference to a maximum of 4 is awarded to the player with the highest kill point total in battle points. So again, awarding a little aggressiveness. This mission has a lot of what we consider fun about 40K all wrapped up into it. I don't want to say it's a mismatch, but it definitely allows multiple armies to compete on some level for this first mission to start gaining points, what we would consider the first mission out during the day, the first thing you play at the beginning of the tournament. And
I would just like to highlight a point that you said right there. Is like, I don't believe this is mismatched at all. Like, I feel this is the first game of the day. You shouldn't start with a mission design, for the first mission of the day where all of a sudden I am so handicapped by this mission because of the list I brought. Or the other opponent is so handicapped because there is no kill point, or it's all kill point, or there is no objectives, or they're all objectives, So I love the fact that this is in my opinion, a perfect mission to start the day out. You get the juices flowing, you get all this stuff going, and you feel good. Probably the next mission coming up is going to be a little more drastic one way or the other.
Right, and then the last thing I want to point out, at least on the mission here, is that the bonus objectives, we have First Blood, Slay the Warlord, and Linebreaker. So traditional things here as a staple of 40K, but for these missions, these are 1 point each. They are not going to be what wins the game for you unless it's been that kind of game to where it really has been a slugfest or a chess match or whatever. And so that's what you need to get you that quote-unquote win.
Yeah, if with the 3 objectives in play, the 3 different mission types in play, if it comes down to where it's bonus points, whether you won or lost the game, let me tell you, that didn't happen in the first 5 minutes of the game. This was a slugfest where, you're tallying up all the stuff on the side, and it wasn't known from the beginning, oh, you got first blood, good game.
Yep. Yeah,
that's fresh.
Or you get 1 point, you get this first blood, and then you retreat to your side of the table and just don't have any interaction. What we see from other missions, some that are out there in wide use, is that they kind of award inaction or more defensive play. And while that can be fun, it really, and I believe it. I don't want to say it can be fun. That is not what most people, in my opinion, want to spend several hours of their day doing. So we want people mixing it up, and these things are still a factor, and they could be in a battle point tournament. Every point leads to more separation, so they do matter. They're just not going to be typically what wins you the game.
Exactly. But it won't win you that game. But I love what you said. It's like this is a battle point tournament, most likely, and throughout anywhere between a 3 to a 7 round tournament. If you don't get those bonus points, that could decide whether you win overall or take third.
Yeah, at the end of the day, and literally at the end of the tournament, that could be a big separation. If you've even in a 3-rounder, if you never got any of this stuff, you're 9 points down.
Yeah, so exactly. I would like to point out for a lot of TOs out there when they're thinking about mission structure, all the paper that they have to print out, all this extra stuff that you have to do. I love the fact where on this one single piece of paper, per printout, there is the table, what the table should look like, where the objectives are. a very nice description of all the objectives. And finally, you've got your score sheet all on the same thing. I can't tell you how many tournaments I've been to, and there is 13 pieces of paper I have to keep up with, and I don't even know where to write my score down at.
Yeah, there's no perfect way to do it as far as I know, but we tried to make it as simple as possible. So, you can, I mean, we've got the missions numbered, but if you're the tournament organizer, you could just do whatever you want. This could be the 5th mission, the 8th mission, the 3rd mission, whatever you want. Just use them.
Yep. Yeah, no, I just want to make sure, a lot of people, gamers don't necessarily care, I guess, too much, but a lot of TOs out there, they know the struggle of whenever you're equating it to cost.
Pack,
yeah, when you know the cost of everything else and you want to give as many prize support out as you can, and the total revenue might only be $300 for this event, the last thing you want to do is to go, go to Pop Copy or somewhere and spend $50 or, use your own ink and stuff. So I just think it's a really cool aspect to have it all on one sheet.
All right, man. We're going to wrap up this video, and we'll see you for mission 2.
Mission 2 it is.